Are you tired of overpriced groceries and limited options at the supermarket? Because I know I am. Well, try Misfit Marketplace, where every box is packed with delicious organic produce at up to 40% off retail prices. That's right. You get your fresh fruits to colorful veggies. Misfit Marketplace delivers quality ingredients straight to your door. Visit misfitmarket.com and use code POD20, that is POD20, to get 20% off your first order, and tell them that Dr. T sent you. Eat well, save money, and join the Misfit movement today.
Hey, come on in and welcome to A Win is a Win podcast, where sports and everything else collide. Comfortable? All right. Let's go, Dr. T.
Come back. Well, y'all know I keep my promise every week, and I am right back here with more and more and more and more sports news and a little bit of everything else. But first, before we get into all of that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And don't forget to tell somebody else to join the Win is a Win. And thank you so much for the new subbies. Appreciate you. And don't forget, if you haven't and you listen, that's good too. Go ahead and subscribe. I know it's like a relationship, a little bit of a commitment, but hey, I don't even charge you to do that. Okay? Don't charge you a thing. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you know when a new episode drops. And go ahead and hit that like button. Keeps me in the algorithm so that this podcast can get out to more people. So check this out. We are going to pass. Okay, we are going to do a hard pass this week on scores. Okay, we're going to do a hard pass on scores. Why? Because it is time to start talking about some standings. Yes, that is right. We are going to start talking about basically who's got the juice. Okay. So, what we're going to do this segment is get into the divisions and who's coming out on top, who's over 500, who's scratching at that 500. And then we're going to go through some other really telling odds and different nominees for different awards for this NFL season, because some of them I just don't understand. But of course, y'all got to keep that chat going and let me know what you think. So look, at the AFC East, we're going to start there. So we got the Bills in first, the Dolphins in second, the Jets in third, and the Patriots are in fourth place. Now the Bills are 10-3. Dolphins are 6-7. The Bills are above 500, and the Dolphins are scratching at 462, and the Jets and the Patriots are eagerly waiting for the season to be over so that they can get those discounts on good airfare for vacation. AFC North, this is a little touchy for me right here in this division. However, Steelers sit atop in first, Ravens are in second, Bengals are in third, and Browns, be careful now, okay? You get a little touchy, a little sensitive about my Browns. They're last in fourth. Now you got the Steelers at above 500 and the Ravens as well. So interesting enough, the Bengals could possibly, maybe, kind of, sort of sneak in. I mean, do you think that Burrow and the Bengals can go on a run here and sneak into the playoffs or a wild card? We'll see. AFC South. Now listen. We have to talk about it. I know. It's still a conference, okay? So let's talk about the South. All right. So in this division, the Texans are in first place. The Colts are in second. The Jags and the Titans are last. Now, I really um, don't think that this division is very interesting. I mean, you got the Texans are above 500 at 8-5, and then you got the Colts are at 462 at 6-7, and the Jags and the Titans, just like the Jets and the Patriots, are looking to get this over so they can go on vacation. But this division, along with the NFC South, ooh, I don't know, but I mean, when you look at the Texans, I just think that they're they're good, but they're not as good as you know people think they are. And Stroud hasn't been, as of late, taking care of the ball as he should. And you don't win games or make playoffs with just carelessness of the ball. AFC West, Chiefs at the top. Then we have the Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders dead last. 2-11. Broncos 8-5 tied. Same with the Chargers, and Chiefs sit up top. 12-1. Of course, they already took that division. Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos are all over 500 in that division. Here's a question though: as scarce and as you know, I'm gonna use this word, just getting it done is what we've been seeing the Chiefs do. Is that enough? Okay, to make a playoff run when you have to play Detroit, when you have to play the Ravens, when you have to play the Bills, the the wins where you are just getting by. Because what I see is the defense is chewed up, not spit out, but they are chewed up right now. Um, Offense can't stay on the field. Mahomes is running for his life all over the field. Now, I mean, we're not gonna take anything away from the good brother. He's making plays happen, and that's what you do. But just look at how they're playing. Is that enough to get past a Detroit Lions? Because let's just keep it real. Those two teams are the favorites for the Super Bowl. Okay. And with the Lions, who are they're just gonna run the ball down your throat. And Dan Campbell is getting real creative with his plays lately. And Andy Reid. Now we're not gonna just skate past Andy Reid like he ain't a wizard with this. But can they sustain that in a playoff run? Interesting to see. NFC East, Eagles are atop of there. Then we have the Commanders to follow. The Cowboys, Lord, are in third, and the Giants are fourth. Now the Eagles are 11-2, and the Commanders are 8-5, and they're both over 500. Now the Cowboys are 5-8. Jerry Jones seems to think that you just you don't have to block a punt, or you don't have to do. I can't even. We're gonna get Let me skip that. We don't get into exactly what Jerry Jones said and why it's so cringe in the next segment. Anyhow, can the Cowboys sneak in at 5-8? Not entirely sure. But I just don't. I don't see that they have the cohesiveness as a team right now. It's too much going on. It's too many things going on behind the scenes that's spilling over in the field, and they're just not playing well. But we shall see. The Giants are probably headed to the Poconos or somewhere, because it won't be to any more football games. NFC North, the Lions are atop. Vikings next. Packers in third. Bears in fourth. Now, Lions are 12-1. And they are over 500 along with the Vikings and the Packers. Who do you think is going to come out of this division? Because I'm going to just tell you like this: the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers all are playing well. I mean, obviously, the Lions are playing the best out of this division, but do not sleep on Darnold and do not sleep on Love. I'm interested in seeing if there's going to be some shakeups, um, excuse me, within that division. NFC South. Yeah, I know. But we gotta talk about them too, okay? So the Bucks are in first. The Falcons are behind them, and the Saints are in third, and the Panthers are um in fourth, and the Bucks are over 500. Falcons are sitting at 462. So the Bucks are 7-6, and the Falcons are 6-7. If you are the coach for the Falcons, now you've been riding Cousins the whole season. As of lately, how he's played, do you bench him? Do you sit him down and give your rookie some snaps? Or you just ride it out? Because we all know Kirk Cousins, he'll do it during the regular season. But playoff Cousins, he just doesn't he don't show up in the postseason at all. Nonetheless, they are behind the Bucks. So, and one game behind them, as a matter of fact. So we'll see what happens in that division. Is just, oh, I don't even know why we talk about that division, but we have to because they're a part of the eight. All right, NFC West, Seahawks are at the top. Then Rams, third is the Cards, and the 49ers are at the bottom with the Cards, and they are both at 6-7 on the season. Rams are 7-6, and the Seahawks are 8-5, and the Rams and the Seahawks are both over 500. Listen, does Geno Smith take the Seahawks on a run? I mean, in this division, they are one game ahead of the Rams, and I don't see that they play significantly better to the point where they can, go on a run. Now, Geno Smith can get busy, don't get me wrong. He's got Metcalf, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I just don't see them, getting. I think they're just going to stall out. I don't know. Something is it's just weird about the Seahawks to me. It's definitely not the Legion of Boom like it used to be. So, all right, who's got the juice? Let's look at the odds. All right, so when we talk about the division, you got the Steelers at minus 220 as the favorite. The Texans in their division are favored at minus 2,000. The Eagles coming out of their division is the favorite at minus 7,000. And the Lions, of course, are the favorite at minus 1,000. And the Bucks are favored out of theirs at minus 230, and the Seahawks out of there. So my question before I move on is, who do you think that the odds are right? Do you think that these are the these indeed are the teams that are going to come out of these divisions, or do you have an upset? Because in my fantasy world, the the Browns would have been in second this year, but it didn't happen. So I think, okay, the way that the Steelers are playing, they've got it right. But I'm still not gonna sleep on Lamar, Jack, and Derrick Henry. I mean, because when they want to get that ball on the ground and they run it and stay out of the air, I mean, he can pass now. Don't get me wrong, his passing game has significantly increased. But I think that the way the Ravens get it done is they put the ball on the ground and run it down your throat. So I you know, the way the Steelers have been playing, my opinion that's about right. But let me know what you think. Who do you have coming out of your division? So let's look at the conference. All right. So the conference matchup they have are KC at plus 160 and the Lions at plus 120. That's your Super Bowl, people. This is what they're saying. This is going to be our Super Bowl. Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me tell you something. If that happens, I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it, but I do believe that that's going to be a long day in New Orleans for Kansas City with Detroit, the way that they have been playing football right now. And they haven't just been getting by. They had a couple of games like that, but that hasn't been their entire season. So that would be a Super Bowl. That would not be a boring Super Bowl, in my opinion, unless they just show up and then just forget how to play. All right, so we have the um, top five, right? Super Bowl teams that are trending on the books right now. Detroit, obviously. We got KC. Both of them are at the top. Detroit at plus 225 as a favorite, right below them at plus 425 for KC. Behind KC, you have the Eagles. That's interesting. And then you have the Bills, and then you have the Ravens. Okay, I like this list, but I don't like the order of it. So for me, my top five, if it was me on the books, I'm going Detroit, KC. I'm gonna put Buffalo. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. So I would put Buffalo and then I would go Ravens and Philly. Actually, no, I would go Detroit, KC, Philly, Ravens, and Buffalo. That's how I would have that. But let me know what you think about the sports books and who do you have in your top five as far as the Super Bowl goes. Interesting enough, speaking about this time of year. So we get all of these different awards, right? NFL MVP. Um, and what's interesting is that the line comes out early in the off season and it continues to shift from there week after week after week after week. And when you're betting, um, that is a bet that stays open on the market until it's settled. So if we look at who we have as the um, front runners here, you got Mahomes at plus 300, Allen at plus 400. They have Jackson third at plus 1,000 and CJ Stroud at plus 1,300. Now, remember, I said Josh Allen was heavy in this conversation, even with the loss that he took and threw, what did he throw? Something crazy like 6 touchdowns and had a few of them on his own. I knew that was going to put him up above Lamar Jackson. I'm interested as to why CJ Stroud is here and not Jared Goff. That's what I'm confused on. Why is CJ Stroud here and not Goff? So if this was your list and you had the vote, who are you going to vote for? Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, or Stroud? Now, this year we have Harbaugh, Eberflus. I'm going to put a asterisk by Eberflus. Morris and Matt LaFleur as coach of the year. Why is Eberflus even in there and the man just got fired? So if we needed to replace Eberflus, who are we replacing him with? Well, for me, I'm going to say, hmm, Sirianni, only because of how the Eagles have been playing as of lately. Something must have happened, a conversation, a heart to heart, something must have taken place because the Eagles have turned it around. So I will replace Eberflus with uh, Sirianni. So let me know, who do you have on your list, or do you agree with this list? If you had to pick from here, would you go with Harbaugh? We gonna scratch Eberflus. He doesn't matter. Raheem Morris or Matt LaFleur, and who would you replace Eberflus with? Um, I don't. I really, that just threw me off right there. I really don't even understand how Eberflus got into it. Um, so can the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs? Because they just don't. I don't. There's always something about warm weather teams can't play in, um, you know, cold weather states. And when you see the Dolphins, just it's like they forget how to function. As soon as they step on the field, your mind just goes elsewhere, and you just looking like, oh Lord, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? So if they can't do it now, and we're close here to the playoffs, can they do it to get in the playoffs? Because only 14 of them makes the cut out of all 32. It's 14. So can they go on a run and do what they have to do? You can vote on that too. Right now, yes is at minus 144. And the odds for no are at plus 118. It's interesting. So on the books, we have the AFC odds are the Buffalo Bills are the favorite at plus 165, followed by the Jets at plus 170, the Dolphins at plus 220, and the New England Patriots at plus 2400. And keep in mind, as the season isn't done, even though it's short, it's still not done. So remember, these lines are going to move in response to the team's performance, and especially how people bet. And you also got to keep in other news too, because odds go up and down based upon what's being reported in the news as well. So, rookie of the year, and the odds um, for that is interesting, um, because we have two players who are not quarterbacks. Interesting. But we have Caleb at plus 135. Listen, I get it. Okay. I think there was a lot of hype around the young man when he came into the NFL from college. I think he learned very quickly that the game is not the same. And all that running around that you were doing in college, you cannot do that in the NFL. But I don't see how he's rookie of the year over a Jaden Daniels. Why isn't he on his list? I don't understand that. Or Bo Nix. Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm just speaking on that as far as quarterbacks. Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 650 makes sense. And Malik Neighbors makes sense at plus 1300. Now, when you talk about the rookie of the year, the lines are available for both the offense and the defense award winners. And this market remains active all season long. And just like every other category, it changes. But while I'm going through these, I'm just amazed at why some people are there and others are not. Um, I yeah, I don't really know, but the last one that's quite interesting that has everyone in a tizzy are the 2025 NFL draft picks first round odds. Now here's where some of the drummings happened. So you got Carson Beck at plus 300. All right. You got Shador Sanders. We all know that plus 500. James Pierce Jr. at plus 650. Here's a question. Okay. First rounders. Where's Travis Hunter? Where's Ashton Genty? You cannot tell me that you are leaving those young men off of first round. There's no way possible that Travis Hunter goes anything after one. There's no way possible that Genty goes anything after one. Why aren't they there? This is what I'm saying. Some of the books and how they get these lists, you know, it I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And y'all know I can't stand the list in the first place. But they're there. And we have to go through them because guess what? It's sports news. So when we come back, that's exactly what we're going to get into because somebody got a job and somebody just won't shut up. All right. So when we come back, we'll get into all of that and much more. Don't forget, as far as the odds go and betting, you can join me on DraftKings. Go to drT23.site. Click join me on DraftKings. Now, what they're doing is they have promo. So you go ahead and dump $5 in there. They'll match you up to 150. They have no sweat bets. They have touchdown scores. They have a lot of different, um, you know, promos that you can jump on. So don't forget Dr. T23.site. Click join me on DraftKings. And don't forget the crown is yours. $30 million man. $30 million man. Who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Bill Belichick. Yep. He's going to coach college, y'all, in North Carolina to be more specific. And I think his professional pedigree in the NFL was one of the major factors as to why he has gotten that job. And he replaces, Mac Brown. And a little bit of me feels very strongly that this is pretty much a huge FU to the NFL on Belichick's behalf. Why? Because if you listen to his thoughts and you listen to him on ESPN when the Mannings are on there and they're just having a conversation about the state of football, he's disgusted with it. He doesn't like the way it's become. And a lot of people are saying, well, that's because he's aged out of what the NFL is now. And all right, some of that may be true. But the other part of what he's saying is also true, and it echoes a lot of what Tom Brady has said and other players, and that is there's no development at all. Look at the quarterbacks. Draft them, get them on the field. They're not sitting behind anyone and learning. And then when you have someone like a Mike Tomlin sit down Fields and say, the starter is someone who is a vet, who has a lot more experience in certain situations that you don't, so you can learn behind him. So when it's time for you to come up, you have that experience. No different than Rodgers sitting behind Favre and then taking off. So He will make something to the tune around 10 million a year. Um, and it's interesting to see exactly. Someone said this to me: can he take a basketball heavy driven school and turn it into an NFL contender? That was a bar right there. Yes. Let's see exactly what he can do with North Carolina. So, you got to give credit where credit is due. He's a defensive genius, and perhaps he can bring something to that organization that hasn't been there. Stephen A. Smith is the $120 million man, allegedly, reportedly. He secures a $120 million ESPN deal with a 6-year extension. Um, Stephen A. Smith has been carrying ESPN on his back since about 2003, and his massive deal um, is unprecedented. According to Andrew Marchand, I think that's how you say his name. He writes for The Athletic that the new agreement would raise his earnings to 18 million annually, and that's about a 50% increase. Now, you know, you deserve it. You deserve it. I just, you know, Stephen A is a staple in sports media, and when he was writing prior to that, and he has a lot of relationships with people. I just want Stephen A to just be a little bit different in how he goes about his platform. I'll just say it like that. I'm not going to say that he doesn't deserve the dollars, because from a journalistic standpoint, yes, he does. Um, but, hate him or love him, it is what it is. He got the bag, and he's taking that all the way to the bank. And what kind of money ESPN and did? I mean, we don't even need to ask how much money ESPN has, because we know who owns ESPN, and that's Disney, and that money is long. So that's why he was able to get that kind of money. So the Steelers have confirmed that star receiver George Pickens is doubtful to play this week against the Eagles. Now, Pickens missed last week's game due to a grade 2 hamstring, and without him, the Steelers struggled offensively, managing just 147 passing yards and a 50% red zone efficiency, and converting only 6 of 14 third downs. So hopefully he can get back in there. And to me, it's just, now you're gonna have to get Russ and Tomlin to kind of gel and figure out what are they gonna come up with, because you do not want a potential blowout. And a grade 2 hamstring, you guys, can vary in recovery. Sometimes some receivers can miss up to 4 weeks, while others, sometimes they return with no downtime. I've worked on both, and have have worked on, athletes with both scenarios, and some that require even longer period of time. It depends on the receiver type, though, and whether, how can I say it, they're more of a slot guy, or they're like a deeper threat. I'll just say it like that, make it easier. And those are some of the factors. I mean, it isn't a long-term issue, and the surgery most of the time isn't needed, but you got to get the proper rest and recovery, and he should be just fine. So Steelers fans, calm down. It's all right. Listen, when I tell you, I don't even understand the amount of money that the Major League Baseball organization has. But let me tell you, they have enough money to pay Juan Soto $765 million over 15 years. What does that look like? All right, let's break it down. My Lord. Listen, in MLB, I have worked on shoulders, I have worked on outfielders, I have worked on first baseman. Um, what's up? Can sister get a little bit of that change if the pocket is that deep? Can I get a little bit more money, please? Just saying. All right, 15 years at 765 million. What does that look like? 51 million per year with a $75 million sign-on bonus. That's guaranteed. Okay. 4.25 million a month. So let's break that down. Let me get my calculator. Hold on. All right. So when you don't take 765 million, how many days in a month is 30? So it's 365 days a year. The man is making $139,726.03 a day. 900, hold on. Let me make sure that's right. Yep. $978,082.21 per week. Hold on. Let me keep going. That's per hour is 24 hours in a day. So take that. He's making $5,821.92 an hour. Hold on. 60 minutes an hour. Let's do that. 60. He's making $97.03 per minute. All right, I'm not going to go to the seconds, but y'all get where I'm going, okay? What kind of money does the MLB have? Now, you got people all over social media saying that that's significantly high and he's completely overpaid. But be that as it may, he plays good enough for them to pay him that kind of money. I mean, look at Showtime, Shohei Ohtani. Look at the money that the Dodgers paid him. So at the end of the day, when we talk about guaranteed contracts, when we talk about the best contracts, when we talk about the league that has the most money and pays the best and does right by their players, y'all know now. Definitely know now. The Cowboys are now 0-7 in games that trail at halftime this season. And they just keep struggling to make comeback. Coaching issues, no adjustments have been made. I don't see them bringing back McCarthy after this. And sometimes, you know, we have to think what was isn't what's now. The Dallas Cowboys used to be America's team. Dallas Cowboys used to be the topic of discussion for every single person. You were a Dallas Cowboy fan, even if you lived in Florida, even if you lived in Cleveland, if you lived in Arizona, Wyoming. It didn't matter. Everyone was a Dallas Cowboy fan. And 29 going on 30 years not winning a thing doesn't mean that you need to be in a conversation any longer about you're a threat, because you're not. You have the star on a helmet. Jerry Jones is a billionaire who bought the team, who currently doesn't know anything about football. If you listen to what he said after the last loss about his thoughts around punting and an onside kick, you will just understand like it needs to stop. And there isn't anyone around him who's comfortable enough to say, stop. Or how about this? How about the press stop waiting to talk to him after the games? Because when he comes out of his booth, his owner's box, and there's no one to talk to, what now? What can he do? Go on his radio show and rant and rave and ramble like he's been doing? It needs to stop. The Cowboys aren't good, period. They're not a good football team at all. And they're not going to make any moves that's going to make sense because listen, Jerry's in control of that. He's probably in the draft room, sitting in there with himself and a computer making the decisions. So, um, for me, I think that season is done and we have to move on from all of these cowboy narratives. Stop putting them in the conversation where they don't need to be. The same as the Jets. They don't need to be. Every week you're going to hear about Jerry Jones and Aaron Rodgers. Enough is enough. Listen, Dan Orlovsky says, excuse me, that it's just an utter disaster how the Bears are treating Caleb. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Disaster. Utter disaster. And I want to make sure I ask Shefty something clearly. Is it accurate to say that there were conversations that they were going to sit Caleb down? There were conversations. I don't know how close they got, but yes, there were conversations about whether one of the solutions was to bench the quarterback. But to bench him, to give him a break, to try to save him from himself. I'm just telling you, Dan. This is why it's an utter disaster. How about Chicago, you coach him? Instead of throwing him to the side and sweeping the problem under the rug. They may ruin him before they coach him up. Here's Chicago thinks they're dating Caleb Williams. You're married to him, okay? So I want to make sure I understand this. So you pass on the quarterbacks from 2 years ago, the Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud situation, to get picks to rebuild this roster. And you passed on those guys because you really wanted Caleb Williams. You were willing to wait for the number one pick for Caleb Williams. Oregon. And then you rebuild this roster with a ton of talent. You draft Caleb Williams. You decide to start Caleb Williams. And the first time that the adversity hits, it's like, well, we'll push you over here and you don't matter anymore because the other stuff is more important. You're married to him, guys.
And so he continues about the relationship that the organization is failing with Caleb Williams. Listen, when the coaching went bad, it was Caleb. When the offense it was bad, it was Caleb. When the defense was bad, it was Caleb. And the mistakes that he was making, there wasn't any type of development, and that goes back to what Bill Belichick and Tom Brady was alluding to. The way that the league is designed now, like he said, you waited, you Heisman posed the rest of these, quarterbacks to get Caleb, and then when you get Caleb, you don't develop him in any way, shape, form, or fashion whatsoever. So then what happens? You want to push him to the side and you want to bench him because your organization is screwed up. That's what he's talking about. And for as much as Dan Orlovsky can irritate me sometimes, he does have a point. So basically, Justin Fields wasn't the problem after all. Now, listen, I think that A.J. Brown left things to be assumed. And this is where sometimes PR and certain types of media training comes in for certain people, because when you indirectly just say passing, all right, well, I'm going to just keep it real. You calling out your QB, you calling out Hurts. There isn't anybody else on the team that passes the football except for the quarterback. But then after that, you take the time to double back. Oh, here we go on social media again. And you got to double back to try to clarify what you said when you could have said what you meant up front. Let's take a listen to what he said.
You think that the offense needs to improve on passing? Offense wasn't good enough. What are some things you think that the offense needs to improve on passing?
And he just left it like that. Very generic. Passing. That's it. Passing. And so for me, that is 100% Jalen Hurts, because he's, like I said, he's the only one that passes the ball. And If you meant something else, it doesn't make a difference if you and Jalen are best friends or you're close or whatever the dynamic of your relationship is, and you need to be very much more specific about what you mean. Okay, passing, what do you mean? Because if you don't mean Jalen, are you talking about the plays that are written up for him to pass the ball? Are you talking about the missed opportunities in passing that's not on him, or a missed assignment? Be more specific, because you just left it out there for interpretation. And if you are trying to say that you need to get other receivers involved or more receivers involved, then just say that. Say what you mean and mean what you say. But you left it up for interpretation, and then you get mad when people interpret it. Can't do that. You can't do that. Zach Collins, listen, when I tell you the NBA is going to give him a generational fine, his great grandchildren will still be paying off his fine well after he's gone, because he got into a heated discussion during the game, and um, he basically flipped off the ref. I'm talking about with the hard, stiff middle finger. Not even just, hey, casually flip the bird and try to hide it or whatever the case may be. Oh, no, none whatsoever. Flipped him off with the hard middle finger and walked off. On top of that, you get ejected, and you don't even meet. You got the bettors pissed off because your over under was at 7.5, and you had to. Generational fine. You hear me? He is going, them grandkids, great grandkids, like, dang, grandpa, great grandpa, you couldn't just keep your finger down for a few more seconds. We still paying off your bills over here, because the NBA is very sensitive about nothing at all. Excuse me, just 5 years ago, Isaac Jones was out of basketball and basically loading trucks for a company in his hometown. And during that time, he grew. Check this out, from 6'4" to 6'9", and his supervisor convinced him to enroll in community college to continue basketball. Now, the rookie power forward is in the NBA, making a huge impact in his back-to-back 12-point games off the bench, and is averaging 9 games, 3 rebounds over his last 4 games. And Isaac started the year playing in the G League and averaged about 20 points and 8 rebounds. And Jones has one of the best stories in the NBA. It's super dope to see him really thriving at the highest level in basketball. Those are the stories that just feel good. Listen, Coach Prime told AP that I need you to draft these Sanders boys. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Now I just need you to do one thing. I need you to draft those Sanders boys next year.
So there was a dinner at the at the Raiders stadium, I believe. And while Dion was exchanging some pleasantries with AP, he told him that he needs to draft those Sanders boys. And you know, that ignited more of the nepotism conversations, and why Prime is, just kind of force feeding his boys basically down people's throats for this draft, and basically saying that certain things will and will not happen during the draft. And to those people, I'll say it again, regardless of what he said at this event, regardless of what he's saying out of his mouth, regardless to what he is saying online, he still has done nothing different than what Eli Manning, Peyton Manning was on the receiving end of what their Arch Manning did. It's nothing. It's nothing no different. So, you know, he can say whatever he wants, but the reality is what's going to happen. And no one knows. No one knows that for sure at all. Ja Morant says he's done with dunking, but then turned around like 2 days later and dunked. But he said, I'm not trying to dunk at all. Y'all think I'm lying. I'm dead serious sometimes. I get knocked out the air and a foul. Don't get called. And now I'm out longer than what I was supposed to be. Sometimes the foul might get called. I still hit the floor. But after the game, you might feel that little fall. Listen, y'all, I'm trying to read. Sometimes I think people write how they talk and they don't write for it to make sense. So I just pick and choose, man. Hey, 2 points is 2 points. I get it done. That's all that matters. And then 2 days later, he turned around with the reverse dunk. So, you know, I think that aged like buttermilk. Listen, okay. After rumors circulated about Urban Meyer's desire to replace current Ohio State head coach Ryan Day after the fourth straight loss to Michigan, Meyer released a statement saying he has no intentions to return to the Buckeyes. Now, for me, I would actually like to see Ryan Day go away. I wouldn't even be mad at Urban Meyer for coming back, but people retire for a reason, and it's not that they wouldn't be a good coach. It's because he just wants to do other things. He likes Big Noon Saturday. He probably wants to fish or enjoy his family or whatever. But he says it has come to my attention that there are reports speculating my return to the sidelines in Columbus. While I thoroughly enjoyed my 7 seasons as head coach at the Ohio State University, the Ohio State University, I have no interest in coaching again. I will always be a Buckeye and have full confidence in Ryan Day, his staff, and every player that puts on the scarlet and gray. So, in other words, he's saying, leave me alone, y'all. Stop with all the antics. Stop with all the internet gossip. I'm chilling. I'm fine where I am. Listen, do you think Jello Ball should go back to the G League? So Leangelo Ball, excuse me, is trying to get back to the G League. The former Greensboro Swarm forward went on Angel Reese's podcast and said that he's considering overseas, but wants to give the G League another chance. Now, Jello, he had, a couple moments in the G League, and then, he scored. I think his average was 22 points in 24 minutes in his G League debut, and then dropped 26 points in his first career start. I don't know. I think it might be a refresher to give him another opportunity. Not sure, but um, you know, I think it would be good to have him back. I'll just say that. Um, the other side of me would say to Jello, you got to work for it. Get good enough to be on a rotation piece on a G League team. You had 6 years when you were there, and that includes training and finding a way. And not to say that you're just not ready, or some people are saying you're not just that good. Just go out there and work for it. That would be my advice. Michael Jordan is the only player in the NBA history to never, once score under 15 points in any playoff game that he played in. I don't know. It's just all of the accolades that you can pull from Mike was the first to ever do it and still holds that, you know, greatest of all time. So, um, and he swept all three teams in the first round. So, you know, some people are saying, oh, okay, here we go. He's not the GOAT. LeBron is the GOAT. What does this even mean? Well, it means that it's a stat on the book that still exists today that you can't take away from Mike. Just like you cannot take away any of the accolades or any of the stats away from LeBron. So when this was posted, I don't really think this is so much about how dare them say anything like this. It's just, hey, give the man the flowers where they are supposed to be given. Now I got Mike at 1 and LeBron at 2. We had that conversation before, chat. All right. We can go and revisit it again if you like. Who's your top 5 NBA players of all time? I have my 5. Go back and listen to a couple podcasts ago. But we can relive it if you like. So listen. How do you not rule down the Lions' fourth and inches run with 43 seconds left to play? Is what some people are asking when the Lions played last week. Because when Jared Goff took the snap, he fell on his knee. The ball did not touch another player. He was not tackled. He fell, which means you can get back up and run. And he handed off the ball. And I don't think that people really understand football who are trying to say that the NFL cheated. So if you're betting on football, people, you might need to know the rules of football first so that you understand the game that you're betting on. So tell me you don't watch football without telling me you don't watch football. Please fall down, get back up. He was not touched. Game over. End of story with that. And the thing is that a lot of people, and this is the thing about betting, a lot of people go on and they look at parlays and they look at numbers and they see things, but they don't really realize that there is a game being played that is indicative to that of what you're betting on. So, you have to consider all of those things when you're talking about betting. Your AI sidekick has arrived. That's right. Turn off the bat signal because Blaze is here to save the day. Blaze is an AI sidekick for overwhelmed teams of one just like you. Brainstorm and outline content ideas with AI. Go from idea to on-brand content in minutes. Turn a blog post into 10 plus asset types, ads, social posts, emails, and more. Collaborate with colleagues in real time and get content approved. Go to drT23.site. That is DRT23.site. Navigate to Blaze and download today. All right, it's time to make some chalupas. Or at least try. So it's time for best bets right now. And 79% of the money for Thursday night football is on the Rams. So for me, for the game total, I'm going with the under at 49. And I am going to go with the Rams to cover the spread. I just think that, at +3. I just think that 49ers are too injured right now. And I just don't think that they're going to have what it takes to get it done with the Rams. So that's my bet for Thursday night football. Now we're going to move over to, let's see, the NBA. And for the Pistons and the Celtics, I am going with the over 226, and I am going to take Boston on the money line. For the Toronto Raptors and the Miami Heat game, I'm going to go with the spread. Take the dog in this one. But they'll cover the spread at plus 10.5, and that's the Raptors. Also would take Miami on the money line. And then the Pelicans and the Kings are playing tonight. And I'm going to take the Kings to cover the spread. And I'm also going to take the Kings on the money line there. And most of the, let's see how much of the money. Yeah, 83% of the money is on the Kings on that game. So go ahead and get those NBA bets in as soon as you can. Now, as far as the NFL goes, week 15, excuse me. So I'm going to take, these are going to all be over unders for the game totals. Okay. Last week we did the first half totals. This week we're going strictly game totals, all over under bets. Okay. And I'm going to tell you where the money is as far as the matchups go. So for the Dolphins and Texans, I'm going 75% of the money there is on the over. What is that? 46.5. And then 71% of the money is on the over with the Browns and the Chiefs. So I'm going to take the 43.5 there. And then you have, my other game is the Bengals and the Titans, and 67% of the handle is on the over at 46 right now. And the books have the Cowboys and the Panthers at 78% of the handle is on the over at 42.5. So I'll take that. Looks pretty good. And then my last NFL bet this week would be the Ravens and the Giants, and 67% of the handle is on the over there at 42.5. Now, I always have what I call a throwaway bet, and that bet is going to be two of the worst teams in the NFL. Two. Okay. But the reason why I'm going to take this as a throwaway bet is because I feel like this is just going to be some easy money to pick up on two teams who just aren't good. And I'm going to take the under on the Jets and the Jags at 40.5. Let me know about those bets. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, go ahead and join me on DraftKings. That's right. Go ahead and join us also on Discord, where I go more in depth with bets. And right now, I'm not charging a subscription yet for Discord as of yet. But lots more picks, lots more information, more breakdowns in the Discord app. DraftKings, go ahead, and if you don't have one, create you an account, put $5 on there, and they'll match you up to $150. Get in on those promos, and don't forget, the crown is yours. And we're going to come back with our last segment, and in Gone Now. Well, y'all, looks like a hip hop love story has crashed and burned. Another one. We'll be right back.
Love and happiness, yeah. Something that can make you do wrong, make you do right. Yeah. Love.
Yep. Love that'll make you do wrong and make you do right. That's going to take us into this segment of Gone Now, because the streets had been talking all summer and all winter last year about one of the couples that the hip hop community looked up to. And who am I talking about? Well, that would be Papoose and Remy Ma. And there have been speculations about who did what. Papoose knocked out Easy to Block Captain, and people assumed it was over Remy, etc., etc., etc. Remy Ma, Papoose, Easy, even Fat Joe. Zero. No one said a word. Just a lot of media assumptions and the internet. Well, took a different turn today. And Papoose and Remy Ma unleashed on one another and aired it all out. No one knows what triggered it, but we know now exactly why this took place. So, over the past couple of months, you slowly started to see Remy and her demeanor change, and Papoose and his demeanor changed. And when a man and a woman are married and they are together all the time, and then abruptly they are not, and they're acting like they're single, gone now, you know exactly what that means. And then rings come off. Neither one of them were wearing the rings that they so beloved and exchanged to one another on TV publicly. Well, Papoose woke up this morning and so did Remy Ma. And whatever triggered them, they aired it out with proof, with receipts, and all of that messy stuff. See, here's the thing about assuming people's lives or assuming about celebrities not having the same problems as everyone else. And everyone over the last couple of years, this is the model couple. This is what we want to look forward to. I want my relationship to look like that. Well, first of all, let me stop and say, go on now to y'all, because your relationship is going to be exactly what you and the person that you are in a relationship with make it out to be. Love, respect each other, say kind words, and if you have a disagreement, talk it out like adults. Don't go to the internet, because then you put everybody in your business. Papoose goes to his story. This is following what Remy Ma said. I'll get to that in a minute. He said, sad to say that Remy Ma is a narcissist. If you don't know what a narcissist is, please look that up for further context. She chose to cheat repeatedly. Now that I'm finally moved on, she's playing the victim. I have requested a divorce numerous times. She rather clout chase on social media than to handle this like civilized adults. I did not want to do the social media foolishness for the sake of my 6-year-old baby. She has to go to school. As you can see, I've remained quiet through all of this. Well, Remy Ma was not having it whatsoever. And what she posted was basically saying, okay, so now that you feel this way, let me go ahead and tell the truth. So she posted screenshots when Papoose was asleep. And this is what she's saying. Papooses' stupid ass fell asleep on the phone with Clarissa Shields, the boxer. Now, see, we all saw Papoose at 3 different boxing events with Clarissa Shields and even took photos, but it was waved off as being he was there to support her and her boxing. Okay. He was laying in my house and he refused to leave. And this woman, because I don't like to use the B word, is supposed to be a world champion boxer with a lot of respect for me. And these text messages are very telling. Basically, Clarissa is saying to Papoose that we are human beings and no human is, Papoose is saying this to Clarissa. We are human beings and no human is going to be able to report every move. You see nothing wrong with that? She responds, you take accountability. You are the one who is married. Boom. Hold on now. Red flag on the play. Mm-mm. I have a lot to say about that. I'll finish. If you can't at least sleep on the phone with me or be with me in person, it shouldn't be a big deal to let you know you made it home safe or to communicate you fell asleep in the Sprinter. He goes on to explain to this woman who's not his wife, after the office, I'm going to a Christmas party at the office. The CEO asked me to come last week. You don't know that, do you? And she responds and says, Pap, I don't care. You don't have to tell me anything. Now hold on a minute, please.
Oh, hell no.
One more time.
Oh, Lord.
One more time.
Oh, hell no.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. First of all, this is a mess. It is nasty. It is childish on the surface. Let's go a little deeper. You are laying in your mansion with your wife because until you are divorced, you are married. Where your children are, well, at least the baby girl is. And you are messaging this woman back and forth about why you are not calling her and sleeping with her while she's on the phone. That's like some 16-year-old back in the day. You still sleep. I'm sleepy, but I ain't sleep. And then your mama pick up the phone. Y'all get off my damn phone. That kind of stuff. Okay. Second of all, you admit in your text message by saying you're the one who's married. Nasty work. See, this is the problem right here. You don't know what's going on behind folks' closed doors. You don't know what's going on with other people's businesses. And when the internet assumed that it was all Remy, they ate her up, spit her out, and called her everything but a child of God. And then now the truth is coming out, screenshot, text messages, they got photos. I'm not about to go into everything that they posted, but just know it's nasty. If you have social media or you have the internet, you could go look at all of it. My point in this segment is this: stop idolizing and glorifying celebrity relationships. They are normal people, just like all the rest of us with problems, just like all the rest of us with health issues, just like all the rest of us relationships issues, just like all the rest of us. They just got a little bit more money than the rest of us. That's it. Go on now, keep your business off of the internet. And see, this is the problem. I don't understand why people need to go run to the internet and air out their dirty laundry, because who exactly are you looking for validation from? Are you looking for the stranger that's sitting in their home watching this play and they're going to just lay down some gems for you to automatically just say, oh yeah, this person in Connecticut or Baltimore gave me a gem that I'm going to follow that I wasn't adult enough to do on my own? Number one. Number two, don't air out your dirty laundry and put your shit all over the internet and then get mad when people do respond. Don't get mad when people do have something to say, because you put it out there for folks to actually listen to. Go on now. Y'all have a family, and even if you couldn't get along, even if these nasty things did happen, even if you did cheat with the boxer Pap, and even if you did go back and double back behind him, Remy, because you were pissed off and you ran a play with Easy to Block Captain, that's still y'all's business. It don't need to be aired all over the internet. And that's the problem. See, we assume that people have a higher level of intelligence and more smarts than we actually know. And we gave people too much credit. These folks have a family. And so even if you can't work it out, even if you can't talk it out, even if you know it's not salvageable, keep it offline. Go now. Fix that behind the doors. Go to marriage counseling if that's what you want to do. But to sit up here and go through this real sick, nasty, trifling stuff that's happening on the internet to air out your dirty laundry, stop it. You are giving these people in the world the gasoline that they need to keep talking about your business, because when you wanted to be private about the situation and you didn't want to talk about it, it could have stayed like that and let everybody assume. An assumption ain't gonna kill you. You can assume whatever you want to about me. You still don't know my business because I am not the one that told you. But when I am the one that tells you, then I am the one that has to sit here and look at everything and the backlash that's going to happen from it because I was the one that opened my mouth. Furthermore, this goes along with the fact of people have no type of morals and values about what relationship means. If you are not ready, don't waste your time making yourself unemotionally available to be placed in someone's life who is, and then screw it up. Now, both of y'all mad at each other. Now, both of y'all are doing things to each other that you shouldn't do because you didn't start it off right. Go on now. Stop making a mockery out of these relationships, putting them in the trash, and then airing it shit out all over social media, because what and who are looking at it is very impressionable. And who I'm talking about is a younger generation. Do you think a 13-year-old that don't follow pop culture don't see this? Do you think that they say, okay, well, you know what? This is the trend because guess what? Cardi B done broke up and aired out her laundry with Offset. Look at Remy Ma, and they were the staple couple. Okay, then you got this couple. You got Kanye and his wife acting weird. You got this person and then got divorced. Stop idolizing these very weird, okay? Celebrity relationships. Stop making these people out to be any more different than who we are, because they're not. Have some decency to say, I am not going to live my life like that. I am going to have morals. I'm going to respect the person I'm with. I'm going to feed love into them. I'm going to feed positivity into them. I'm going to feed positive vibrations into them, because at the end of the day, it's about the transfer of energy. And if your energy ain't right for that person, have a sit down, have a conversation, get to some type of understanding mutually, and part ways amicably. Because now the whole world is in y'all business when you could have just shut up. That's going to end it for this episode, y'all. That's it. That's all I got. I'll be right back here next week. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And don't forget to tell someone to tell somebody else to join A Win is a Win. Please hit that notification bell so you know when a new episode drops. Please hit that like button. Keeps me in the algorithm. And remember, if you subscribe, it don't cost you a thing. And while you're at it, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to get those bets in so you can win you a few coins. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.